The ruins smelled like death and burning metal. Sergeant Jiho Kang moved through the destroyed buildings with his rifle raised, his boots crunching on broken glass and debris. The Avari settlement had been hit hard 3 days ago, and now it was just another graveyard on the planet Velmara. Behind him, his 3 soldiers followed in careful formation. "Clear left," called out Corporal Dabin, his voice tight with tension. "Clear right," added Private Nari, her scanner sweeping across the rubble. Jiho had seen dozens of these destroyed alien towns during his 5 years in the war. The Avari were the enemy. They had killed thousands of humans, burned colonies, and showed no mercy. He had learned to hate them after they attacked his home station and killed his younger sister Mira. She had been only 14, too young to die screaming in the dark. But war was war. Orders were orders. His team was here to search for enemy survivors and gather intelligence, nothing more. "Sergeant, I'm getting a biosign," said Hyun, their tech specialist. He stopped and tapped his scanner, frowning. "Faint. About 30 meters east under that collapsed structure." Jiho looked at the building Hyun pointed to. Half of it had fallen inward, leaving twisted metal beams sticking up like broken bones. Something moved in his chest, something he tried to ignore. Probably just an injured warrior. "We report it and move on." "Wait." Hyun moved closer, his scanner beeping faster. "Sir, the signature is small. Really small. It's not a warrior." Nari lowered her weapon slightly. "Could be a civilian." "The Avari don't have civilians," Dabin said harshly. "They're all part of the hive. All soldiers." Jiho knew Dabin was wrong, but that was what command told everyone. It made killing easier when you thought the enemy was just monsters. He stared at the ruins, remembering Mira's face, her laugh. He remembered finding her body. "We check it out," he said finally. Carefully. They approached the collapsed building, weapons ready. Hyun's scanner led them to a gap between 2 fallen walls. Jiho knelt down and shined his light inside. At first he saw nothing but darkness and dust. Then something moved. It was small, much smaller than an adult Avari. The creature was curled into a ball, its insect-like body covered in a pale shell that should have been shiny but was cracked and dirty. It had 4 arms folded tight against its body and its head was tucked down. Even in the dim light, Jiho could see the strange crystalline patterns on its carapace, glowing faintly blue. "It's a child," Nari whispered. The creature made a sound, a clicking whimper that somehow sounded like crying. Jiho felt something break inside him, something he had kept frozen for years. This was someone's daughter. Someone's sister. "We need to report this," Dabin said. "Command will want to know about enemy young in the area." "She's hurt," Jiho said quietly. He didn't know why he said she instead of it. "Badly hurt. Sir, with respect, it's the enemy." Dabin's voice was firm. "We have protocols." Jiho looked at the small broken creature and saw Mira. He saw every child who had died in this stupid war, human or alien. His hands shook as he lowered his rifle. "Get the medical kit," he ordered. "Sergeant, that's an order, Corporal." Nari moved quickly, pulling out their emergency medical supplies. Jiho carefully reached into the gap, moving slowly. The child flinched away from him, making terrified clicking sounds. Her large black eyes watched him with obvious fear. "It's okay," he said softly, knowing she couldn't understand. "I'm not going to hurt you." He had to pull away some debris to reach her. When his hand touched her shell, she tried to bite him with her small mandibles, but she was too weak. Gently, carefully, he lifted her out of the hole. She weighed almost nothing. In the daylight, he could see her injuries clearly. One of her 4 arms was bent wrong, probably broken. Her shell had several cracks, and a green fluid that must be blood leaked from a wound on her side. She trembled in his arms like a frightened bird. Nari brought the medical kit and Hyun scanned the child with his analyzer. "I'm picking up some kind of data crystal clutched in her lower left hand," he said. "She won't let go of it." Jiho sat down with the child in his lap, trying to remember the basic alien first aid they had been taught. Most of it was about killing Avari efficiently, not saving them. He cleaned the wound on her side as gently as he could. She clicked and whimpered but didn't fight. "We're going to be court-martialed for this," Dabin said, but he was helping anyway, holding the bandages. "Probably," Jiho agreed. Hyun managed to scan the data crystal without taking it from the child's grip. His face went pale. Sir, you need to see this." Jiho looked at the scanner screen. The symbols meant nothing to him, but Hyun's translation software was working on them. Slowly, words appeared in human language. Royal identification. Princess Ilaneth, daughter of Queen Velshara. Oh no. Nari breathed. Oh no, no, no. They had found the Avari Queen's daughter. The child everyone thought had died in a convoy attack 2 weeks ago. The child whose death had made the Queen promise to destroy 3 human colonies in revenge. Dabin stood up, pacing. We have to turn her in. Right now. She's worth more than all of us combined. We could end the war with her. As a hostage? Jiho asked quietly. As a bargaining chip. Sir, think about what you're doing. Jiho looked down at the small creature in his arms. Princess Ilaneth had stopped whimpering and was watching him with those huge black eyes. One of her small hands, the one not clutching the crystal, reached up and touched his face gently. Her touch was cool and delicate. He thought about Mira. He thought about all the children, human and Avari, who had died because adults couldn't stop hating each other. He thought about what kind of man he wanted to be. We're not using a child as a weapon, he said firmly. We're going to keep her safe and hidden until we figure out what to do. That's desertion, Dabin warned. Then I'll desert alone. You 3 can report back, say you never saw me. Nari shook her head. We're a team, sir. Where you go, we go, Hyun nodded agreement. Even Dabin, after a long moment, sighed and sat back down. We're all going to die for this, Dabin muttered. Maybe, Jiho said. He carefully wrapped the princess in a thermal blanket, keeping her warm. She made a soft purring sound and her eyes slowly closed. But at least we'll die doing something right. The child fell asleep in his arms, trusting him completely. Jiho held her carefully and wondered what he had just started. Around them, the ruins of the Avari settlement stood silent, witnesses to a small act of kindness in the middle of a war. Everything was about to change. They made camp in a cave system 2 kilometers from the ruins. It was neutral territory, claimed by neither humans nor Avari, which made it dangerous in a different way. But Jiho needed time to think, and the princess needed time to heal. Ilaneth woke up screaming. The sound was nothing like a human scream. It was clicks and whistles and something that vibrated in Jiho's bones. She scrambled away from him, pressing herself against the cave wall, her forearms raised defensively. Her broken arm hung useless, but her 3 good ones had sharp little claws extended. Easy, Jiho said, raising his hands to show he was unarmed. Easy, I'm not going to hurt you. But she couldn't understand him. She clicked rapidly, her mandibles opening and closing. A strange smell filled the cave, something like flowers and metal. Hyun's scanner beeped frantically. She's releasing fear pheromones, Hyun said, checking his readings. That's how they communicate. Through chemicals and sounds we can't really process. Can we talk to her at all? Nari asked. I'm working on a translation matrix, but it's going to take time. The Avari language is nothing like ours. Ilaneth tried to run. She made it 3 steps before her injured body gave out and she collapsed. Jiho caught her before she hit the ground. She struggled in his arms, clicking desperately. Stop, he said gently. Please stop. You're going to hurt yourself more. Something in his tone must have reached her because she went still. She stared at him with those huge black eyes. And he could see intelligence there and terror and confusion. She was just a scared child far from home. Slowly, carefully, Jiho set her down on the bedroll they had prepared. He pointed to the water container, then to her, then mimed drinking. She watched him suspiciously but didn't move. Nari came forward with a ration bar. Do they even eat our food? Only one way to find out, Jiho said. He broke off a piece and ate it himself, showing it was safe, then offered her a piece. Ilaneth's mandibles twitched. Slowly, hesitantly, she reached out with one small hand and took the food. She examined it carefully, then put it in her mouth. Her face was hard to read, but she didn't spit it out. She ate the whole piece, then looked at him expectantly. I think she likes it, Yun said, surprised. Over the next hours, they established a fragile routine. Jiho tended to her injuries while Hyun worked on the translation program. Dabin kept watch at the cave entrance, still unhappy about the whole situation. Nari tried to make the princess comfortable. The breakthrough came on the 2nd day. Hyun finally got the basic translation matrix working. It wasn't perfect, but it could convert some of Ilaneth's clicks and pheromones into human words and vice versa. The first thing she said was, Mother? Jiho's heart broke a little. I'm sorry. Your mother isn't here. We're trying to help you. Where, Mother? Where, Hive? Her translated voice sounded young and frightened through the speaker. Far away. You were hurt. Do you remember what happened? Ilaneth's shell's plates rippled, which Hyun's scanner indicated was distress. Attack, fire, falling, pain. She looked at her broken arm. Why you help? You enemy. Jiho sat down across from her. Because you're hurt. Because you're a child. Because it's the right thing to do. Not understand. Humans kill Avari. Avari kill humans. Is war. Yes, Jiho said quietly. It is war. But you're not a soldier. You're just a kid. What is kid? A child. Someone young who should be safe and learning and playing, not fighting. Ilaneth tilted her head in a very alien gesture. You strange human. What called? My name is Jiho. That's Hyun, that's Nari, and the grumpy one by the door is Dabin. Jiho, she repeated, the translator struggling with the pronunciation. I am Ilaneth, daughter of Velshara, Queen of Hive. We know, Nari said gently. We found your identification crystal. The princess clutched the crystal tighter. Must protect. Is important. Shows I am royal. That evening as they ate, Jiho made a decision. He pulled out his personal data pad and showed Ilaneth a hologram. It was a picture of a young human girl with bright eyes and a big smile. This was my sister Mira, he said. She died 2 years ago. The Avari attacked our colony. Ilaneth stared at the hologram for a long time. Then she touched her head and suddenly Jiho's mind filled with images. It was like watching a dream. He saw a beautiful alien woman with elaborate crystal patterns on her shell, holding a small Ilaneth. He felt warmth and safety and love. My mother, Ilaneth said softly. I miss her. Like you miss sister. Jiho wiped his eyes quickly. Yes, exactly like that. I sorry about sister, the princess said. War's bad. Makes sadness for everyone. Yes, Jiho agreed. Yes, it does. From that moment, something changed. Ilaneth stopped trying to escape. She began to trust them, especially Jiho. She started calling him Protector Jiho in her translated speech. When she had nightmares, she would click for him, and he would sit beside her until she calmed down. On the 3rd day, Nari injured her leg during a scouting mission, a bad cut from sharp rocks. While Jiho bandaged it, Ilaneth came closer. She made a questioning click. What is it, little one? Jiho asked. I can help, she said. May I? Before anyone could stop her, she placed her hands on Nari's wound. Her body released a sweet-smelling pheromone, and incredibly, the wound started to close. Not completely, but enough to stop the bleeding and reduce the pain. Nari stared in shock. She healed me. Avari young have healing chemicals, Hyun said, checking his scanner in amazement. I read about it, but I never thought. They use it to help injured hive members. Ilaneth looked tired after using her healing ability. We take care of family, she said simply. You are. I not have word. You are caring for me, so I care for you. The word is friend, Jiho said gently. We're friends. Friends, Ilaneth repeated. Yes, friends. But their peace couldn't last. On the 4th day, Dabin intercepted a military transmission. His face went pale as he listened. What is it? Jiho demanded. Queen Velshara believes her daughter is dead, Dabin said quietly. She's preparing to launch an attack on 3 human colonies in revenge. 2 million people, sir. She's going to kill 2 million people. Jiho felt cold. When? 72 hours. She's giving us 3 days to evacuate, then she attacks. Ilaneth had been listening through the translator. She made a sound like a wail. No, mother would not. Not if she knew I alive. But she doesn't know, Nari said. She thinks you're dead. The princess grabbed Jiho's arm with her small hands. Must tell her. Must go home. Please protect her, Jiho. Mother will listen if she sees me. Jiho looked at his team. Going to the Avari capital would mean crossing 200 kilometers of active war zone. It would mean desertion, treason, and probably death. Command would never authorize it, but 2 million lives hung in the balance. And a small alien child was looking at him with desperate hope. How long would it take us to reach the Avari capital? He asked Hyun. Hyun pulled up a map. On foot with someone injured? 60 hours if we push hard, cutting it close. We'd be shot as deserters by our own side and probably killed as enemies by the Avari. Dabin pointed out. I know, Jiho said. He looked at Ilaneth, at her trusting eyes. He thought about Mira, about all the children who would die if the queen attacked. But we have to try. I'm with you, sir, Nari said immediately. Hyun nodded. Someone has to keep the translation program running. They all looked at Dabin. He stared at them for a long moment, then sighed deeply. I hate you all. You know that, right? Does that mean you're coming? Jiho asked. Of course I'm coming. Someone has to keep you idiots alive. But he was almost smiling. Ilaneth released pheromones that the translator interpreted as gratitude and hope. She touched Jiho's face gently with her small hand. Thank you. Protector Jiho, she whispered. You are good human. Best human. Jiho smiled despite everything. Come on, little one. Let's get you home. They packed their gear and left the cave as the sun set, heading into enemy territory, chasing a desperate hope. The first 30 kilometers were the easiest, and even those nearly killed them. They moved through the darkness, Jiho carrying Ilaneth on his back because her injuries still slowed her down. She weighed so little it was like carrying a backpack, but he could feel her small hands gripping his shoulders, trusting him completely. Yun limped along with his gear. Nari took point and Daban covered their rear. The land between human and Avari territory was a nightmare. Old battlefields littered the ground with destroyed vehicles, and bodies nobody had bothered to collect. The air smelled like chemicals and death. Sometimes they heard distant explosions as the war continued without them. On the second night, they ran into their first real problem. A human patrol appeared ahead of them, 5 soldiers with heavy weapons. Nari spotted them first and signaled everyone to get down, but it was too late. They had been seen. Identify yourselves, shouted the patrol leader. Jiho's heart sank when he recognized the voice. Lieutenant Sunwoo Im, who had trained with him years ago. A good man, a loyal soldier, and someone who would never let deserters pass. It's Sergeant Kang, Jiho called back. Lower your weapons. We're on a mission. Sunwoo and his men approached carefully, their rifles ready. When they got close enough to see clearly, Sunwoo's eyes widened at the sight of Ilaneth on Jiho's back. Is that an Avari? Sunwoo demanded. Jiho, what are you doing? Something important. Let us pass, Sunwoo. You know I can't do that. Sunwoo looked pained. You're carrying an enemy alien. You're not in uniform. You're deserters, Ilaneth clicked nervously. Jiho could feel her trembling against his back. She's the Queen's daughter, Jiho said quietly. We're taking her home to stop a massacre. Queen Velshar is about to kill 2 million people because she thinks her child is dead. We have 48 hours. Sunwoo stared at him. You expect me to believe that? Check my data pad. It's all there. The intelligence reports, the identification crystal scans, everything. One of Sunwoo's soldiers checked the pad and nodded confirmation to his lieutenant. Sunwoo looked torn, his duty fighting with his conscience. Even if that's true, you're still deserters, he said. I have to arrest you. Then 2 million people die, Jiho said flatly. Including probably your family on Colony 7. Sunwoo flinched. Colony 7 was one of the targets. His wife and 2 children lived there. Please, Ilaneth said through the translator, her voice small and scared. I just want to see Mother. I not want humans to die. I not want anyone to die. Sunwoo stared at the small alien child. His hands shook on his rifle. For a long moment, nobody breathed. I never saw you, Sunwoo said finally. You have 1 hour head start before I report finding Avari tracks heading east. After that, I can't help you. Thank you, Jiho said. Don't thank me. Just save my kids, Jiho, please. They ran. The next obstacle came at dawn. They had to cross through a field of blue spores, a toxic plant that grew on Velmara. The spores would make humans sick, maybe even kill them, but going around would add 12 hours they didn't have. We go through, Jiho decided. Use the air filters and move fast. But Ilaneth stopped them. Wait, these plants are Avari plants. We grow them near hives. They not hurt me. She climbed down from Jiho's back and walked into the spore field. The plants seemed to move toward her, almost like they were greeting her. She touched them and made soft clicking sounds, and the plants released different colored spores, yellow instead of blue. These okay for humans, she said. I asked them to be nice. Hyun scanned the yellow spores. She's right. These are harmless. How did she do that? Royal pheromones, Ilaneth said proudly. I am princess. Plants listen to me. They crossed safely, and Jiho felt a new respect for the small alien. She wasn't helpless. She had her own kind of power. That afternoon, they made camp in a rocky area to rest. They had covered good distance, but everyone was exhausted. Jiho shared his ration pack with Ilaneth, and she ate hungrily. Protector Jiho, she said after eating. Why humans think Avari are monsters? Jiho paused. Because we're at war. It's easier to fight when you think the enemy isn't really people. But we are people, Ilaneth said. We have families. We have, what word? Things we make that are beautiful? Art, Nari supplied. Yes, art, we have songs. Avari sing with pheromones, not voice, but is still singing. We have mothers who love children. We have everything humans have. I'm starting to understand that, Jiho said softly. Your people same, Ilaneth continued. I thought humans were all violent. All wanted to kill. But you saved me. You are kind. You sing to me when I have bad dreams. She tilted her head. What was that song? An old lullaby my mother used to sing to Mira and me. It was beautiful. I could not understand words, but I felt the love in it. Jiho had to look away. This child, this alien child he was supposed to hate, understood him better than most humans. That night, Hyun showed them something he had discovered. I've been analyzing Avari and human history files. Our species are incredibly similar. We both evolved from warlike beginnings. We both nearly destroyed ourselves before learning to cooperate. We both created art and music and literature. We're more alike than different. Then why are we fighting? Nari asked. Because someone wanted us to, Dabin said darkly. And everyone was too angry to question it. The next day brought their worst crisis. As they navigated through a canyon, they were ambushed. Not by humans, but by Avari warriors wearing black armor instead of the usual silver. Rogue Avari, the ones Ilaneth had mentioned who attacked her convoy. Plasma bolts sizzled past them. Jiho threw himself over Ilaneth, shielding her with his body. Dabin and Nari returned fire while Hyun tried to find cover. A massive Avari warrior, twice the size of normal soldiers, landed in front of them. His armor was decorated with kill marks. Give us the princess, he growled through a translator. She belongs to Warlord Krelix now. Never, Jiho snarled, raising his rifle. The battle was brutal and short. Jiho took a plasma blast to his shoulder, trying to protect Ilaneth. The pain was incredible, like being burned and frozen at the same time. He went down hard. Hyun's leg was hit next. He collapsed, screaming they were losing. The rogue Avari were too strong, too many. Then Ilaneth did something extraordinary. She released a pheromone blast so powerful that even the humans could smell it. Sharp and commanding. Her crystal patterns glowed bright blue. Within minutes, a patrol of regular Avari soldiers appeared, responding to the royal distress signal. They wore silver armor marked with the Queen's symbol. The rogues tried to fight but were quickly overwhelmed. The leader of the Queen's Guard approached carefully. He looked at Ilaneth, then at the humans, clearly confused. Princess, he clicked through his translator. You are alive. The Queen believes you dead. These humans saved me, Ilaneth said firmly. They are taking me home. They are friends. They are enemies, the guard said. They are my protectors. Ilaneth's voice was stronger now, more commanding. I am royal blood. You will help them or you disobey me. The guard looked torn. Finally, he made a decision. We will escort you to the capital. But the humans are prisoners. No. Ilaneth cried, I am sorry, princess. This is law. Enemy soldiers on Avari soil must be captured. They will face the Queen's justice. They bandaged Jiho's shoulder and Hyun's leg, but then bound their hands. Nari and Dabin were restrained as well. Ilaneth clicked frantically, begging the guards to release them, but the guards would not listen. It's okay, Jiho told her through gritted teeth, pain making his vision blur. You're going home. That's what matters. But they will kill you. Tears formed in her eyes, crystalline drops that glowed faintly. You saved me. This not fair. Life isn't fair, little one. But you can still save those 2 million people. Tell your mother the truth. That's all that matters now. They were separated. Ilaneth was taken into a swift transport toward the capital, crying and calling for Jiho. The humans were forced to march behind, prisoners heading toward certain execution. As the sun set, Jiho looked at his team. I'm sorry I got you all killed. Worth it, Nari said quietly. That kid deserves to live. At least we did something right, Hyun added, wincing with each step. Dabin just nodded. No regrets, sir. Jiho smiled despite the pain and fear. They had done the right thing. Whatever happened next, they had saved one small life in the middle of a huge war. That had to count for something. The Avari capital was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Jiho had expected something military and cold, but Nexus Velshara was a city of light. Massive bioluminescent towers grew from the ground like crystal trees, glowing in colors humans had no names for. Gardens filled with alien plants covered every surface, and the air hummed with the sound of millions of Avari living their lives. But Jiho saw it all from inside a crystal cage. They had locked him, Hyun, Nari, and Dabin in separate cells in what must be a prison. The walls were clear, letting them see everything but touch nothing. Guards watched them constantly. Jiho's shoulder wound had been treated, probably to keep him alive for his execution. Enjoying the view? Dabin called from his cell nearby. Because it's the last thing we're ever going to see. Stay positive, Nari said, but even she sounded defeated. Hyun was calculating on his fingers. According to my estimate, we have 14 hours before the Queen's attack deadline. If we die before then, 2 million people die with us. Jiho closed his eyes. They had gotten so close. Ilaneth was safe, but that wasn't enough. The war would continue. The killing would never stop. Footsteps echoed in the prison. Jiho opened his eyes to see an elegant Avari approaching. She wore robes of deep purple, and her crystal patterns were elaborate and beautiful. She moved with authority. "I am Shenra, advisor to Queen Velshara," she said through a translator. "You are the humans who claim to have rescued the princess?" "We didn't claim it. We did it," Jiho said. Shenra's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement or contempt. "The princess is very vocal about your supposed heroism. She has refused to eat until you are freed. She has entered mourning ritual, which shames the entire court." "Then free us," Nari said. "Impossible. You are enemy soldiers on Avari soil. The law is clear. You will be executed at dawn tomorrow." "After the Queen attacks the human colonies?" Jiho asked bitterly. "The Queen has delayed her attack upon seeing her daughter alive. But only delayed. She must still have justice for all the Avari who have died. Your people have killed thousands of us. And your people have killed thousands of us." Dabin shot back. "When does it end?" Shenra was quiet for a moment. "Perhaps it ends tomorrow, when you die as examples." She turned to leave. "Wait," Jiho called. "Can I at least see Ilaneth? Say goodbye?" "No. The princess is being prepared for the trial. You will see her then, before your execution." Shenra paused. "For what it is worth, human, the child speaks highly of you. She calls you Protector Jiho, and insists you are a good person. It is unfortunate you are on the wrong side of this war." "Maybe there are no right sides," Jiho said quietly. "Maybe we're all on the wrong side." Shenra left without answering. The night was long and dark. Jiho couldn't sleep. He thought about his sister, about his parents who would never know what happened to him. He thought about Ilaneth and hoped she would be okay. He had known this might be suicide mission, but knowing and experiencing were different things. At dawn, the guards came for them. They were brought to a massive chamber that must be the throne room. Thousands of Avari filled the space, all watching silently. At the far end, on a throne made of living crystal, sat Queen Velshara. She was magnificent. Twice the size of normal Avari, her shell covered in elaborate patterns that glowed with power. Her eyes were ancient and sad and angry all at once. This was a mother who had lost her child and found her again, only to face impossible choices. Beside the throne stood Ilaneth. The princess looked healthier now, her injuries healed by Avari medicine. But her eyes were red from crying, and she released pheromones of distress so strong even the humans could smell them. "Protector Jiho," she cried out and tried to run to him, but guards held her back. "Silence, daughter," the queen said, her voice deep and powerful through the translator. "This is a court of law." An Avari judge read the charges. "These humans are accused of being enemy combatants on Avari soil. The penalty is death. However, Princess Ilaneth has demanded they be heard. Speak, humans. Why should you not die?" Jiho stepped forward, his hand still bound. "We came to return the princess to her mother and prevent a war crime. Your Majesty was going to attack human colonies and kill millions. We did it to save lives, both human and Avari." "You are soldiers," the queen said coldly. "You have killed my people." "Yes," Jiho admitted. "I have, and I'm sorry for that." But this war has gone on too long. Too many children on both sides have died. When I found your daughter, I could have used her as a hostage. I could have let her die. But I saw my own sister in her eyes. I saw a child who needed help, so I helped her. Pretty words, said a voice from the crowd. Shenra emerged, her expression dark. But we have evidence that you kidnapped the princess, used her to cross our territory, and only brought her back when you were caught. That's a lie, Ilaneth shouted. Silence, Shenra snapped. You are young and were traumatized. These humans manipulated you. They saved me. The princess's voice cracked with emotion. The queen raised a hand for silence. Advisor Shenra, what evidence do you have? Shenra presented data files that had clearly been altered. She made it look like Jiho had taken Ilaneth from the convoy attack site, hidden her deliberately, and only revealed her to avoid human patrols. It was all lies, but convincing lies. Jiho felt hope dying. They were going to be executed as kidnappers instead of rescuers, but then Ilaneth did something unexpected. She climbed onto her mother's throne and touched the queen's head with her small hands. Mother, please see the truth, she said. I will show you. Suddenly, a holographic projection filled the chamber. It was Ilaneth's memories, broadcast through some kind of Avari technology. Everyone watched as the memories played out like a movie. They saw Jiho finding her in the rubble, saw his gentle hands treating her wounds. They heard him singing to her when she was scared. They felt his genuine kindness, his pain over his lost sister, his choice to protect rather than exploit her. They saw the journey, the dangers, Jiho taking a plasma bolt to shield her. Most powerful of all, they felt what Ilaneth felt. Trust, gratitude, and love for the human who had become her protector. The chamber was utterly silent when the memories ended. Many Avari were releasing pheromones of sadness and shame. The queen's eyes glistened with tears. This is manipulation, Shenra insisted. The child's memories cannot be trusted. My daughter's memories are clear, the queen said quietly. This human showed her more kindness than many of her own kind. He risked everything to save her. Hyun suddenly spoke up. Your Majesty, I request permission to examine Advisor Shenra's data files. I believe they have been tampered with. Absurd, Shenra said, but she looked nervous. The queen nodded. Granted. It took Hyun only minutes to prove the files were fake. But more than that, he found hidden communications between Shenra and someone called Warlord Krelix, the leader of the rogue Avari who had attacked Ilaneth's convoy in the first place. You work with the rogue faction, the queen said, her voice deadly quiet. You helped arrange my daughter's kidnapping. You wanted her dead so I would attack the humans and the war would never end. Shenra's mandibles clicked rapidly. You are a fool, Velshara. Peace with the humans is impossible. They will betray us. You betrayed us, Ilaneth screamed. Shenra pulled out a concealed weapon, a small plasma pistol. She aimed it at the queen. Time seemed to slow down. Guards were too far away. Nobody could reach her in time, except Jiho. Despite his bound hands and injured shoulder, he threw himself in front of the queen. The plasma bolt hit him square in the chest. He fell, smoke rising from the wound. Protector Jiho! Ilaneth's scream echoed through the chamber. Guards swarmed Shenra, taking her down. But Jiho was dying. His chest burned almost completely through. He could barely breathe. Queen Velshara knelt beside him, her massive form hovering over his broken body. Why? She asked. Why would you save me? Jiho coughed blood. Because killing you would have started the war again. Because Ilaneth needs her mother, because it was right. You are remarkable, the queen whispered. Truly remarkable. Get him to medical. Ilaneth was crying, her tears falling on Jiho's face. Please save him. Please. Jiho's eyes closed. The last thing he heard was Ilaneth crying his name. When he woke, he was in a healing pod filled with strange fluid. His chest felt strange, different. Through the transparent walls, he saw Ilaneth and her mother watching him. The pod opened and he gasped air. Hyun appeared beside him, grinning. "You're alive. They rebuilt half your chest with Avari biotech. You're going to have a very interesting scar." The queen approached. She placed a hand on his shoulder gently. "Jiho Kang," she said formally. "You have shown more honor than I thought possible from any being, human or Avari. You saved my daughter. You saved me. You have tried to save millions on both sides." Her voice became thick with emotion. "I name you kin friend of the hive. You are family now." Eleneth hugged him carefully, crying happy tears. "You lived. You lived." "I'm hard to kill," Jiho said weakly, hugging her back. The queen straightened. "I am calling off the attack on human colonies. I am proposing peace negotiations. This war has taken enough from everyone." Hope bloomed in Jiho's chest. Maybe, just maybe, they had actually done it. But alarms suddenly blared throughout the city. A guard rushed in, clicking frantically. "What is it?" the queen demanded. "Warlord Krelix, Your Majesty. His rogue fleet is approaching both." The war room of the Avari capital was chaos. Holographic displays showed Warlord Krelix's fleet, massive and deadly, moving toward both human and Avari space. He had gathered every rogue warrior, every ship loyal to the old ways of endless war. His message broadcast across all channels. "There will be no peace," Krelix's harsh voice declared. "The humans are destroyers. The Avari who seek peace with them are traitors. I will burn both sides until only the strong remain." Queen Velshara stood at the center of the room, surrounded by her military advisors. Her shell plates rippled with stress. "Our fleet cannot reach him in time. He will strike our colonies first, then use that victory to rally more followers." A human communication officer burst into the room, one of the few humans allowed in the capital during the emergency. "Your Majesty, incoming transmission from the Terran Coalition. Lieutenant Sunwoo Im requests permission to speak with Sergeant Kang." "Granted," the queen said immediately. Sunwoo's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but determined. "Jiho, I heard what you did. The whole human fleet heard. You saved the Avari princess and stopped a massacre." He paused. "I'm bringing my battle group to Avari space. We want to help." Jiho was still weak from his injuries, but he stood as straight as he could. "That's suicide, Sunwoo. Your superiors will call it treason. They already are, but half the fleet is following me anyway. We're tired of this war. If there's a chance for peace, we're taking it." Sunwoo smiled grimly. "Besides, you started this crazy mission. Someone has to finish it." Within the hour, an impossible thing happened. Human warships entered Avari space not as invaders but as allies. They joined formation with the Avari fleet, two enemies becoming one force. But even together, the numbers were bad. Krelix had more ships and his warriors were fanatics who would fight to the death. The battle would be brutal and victory was far from certain. Jiho stood in the war room looking at the tactical displays. His rebuilt chest ached, but his mind was clear. "We need something they don't expect. Something that shows unity instead of division." "What are you thinking?" Queen Velshara asked. "A joint strike force. Human soldiers and Avari warriors fighting side by side. Put me and Eleneth at the front. Show everyone that humans and Avari can be family." "Absolutely not," the queen roared. "I will not risk my daughter again." "Mother," Eleneth said quietly. She had been silent until now, but her voice carried power. "Protector Jiho is right. If I hide while others die for peace, what kind of leader will I become? The people need to see that I believe in this alliance, that I trust humans with my life." The queen looked at her daughter for a long moment. Slowly, crystalline tears formed in her eyes. "You have grown so much, my child. When did you become so wise?" "I learned from the best teacher," Eleneth said, looking at Jiho. The plan came together quickly. They had 48 hours to prepare before Krelix reached the first target. Human soldiers and Avari warriors trained together in compressed sessions. It was awkward at first. These beings had been killing each other for years. But Jiho and Eleneth moved between both groups, showing by example that cooperation was possible. Nari taught Avari warriors human tactical flexibility. Dabin shared human weapon techniques. Hyun worked with Avari engineers to integrate technologies. The Avari, in turn, taught humans their hive mind coordination, allowing for instant communication across units. On the second day, something beautiful happened. During a break-in training, a human soldier named Minho started singing an old war song. An Avari warrior responded with pheromone patterns that created a harmony. Soon both groups were sharing their music, creating something new together. Ilaneth watched with glowing eyes. "This is what peace sounds like," she said. When Krellix's fleet arrived at the Vale Nebula, they found the Allied force waiting. The warlord's transmission was full of rage and contempt. "You disgrace yourselves, Queen Velshara, fighting alongside the species that has killed so many of us." The Queen's response was calm and strong. "I fight alongside those who saved my daughter and showed me that honor exists in unexpected places. You Krellix are the disgrace. You attacked my child to start a war. You serve only death, then you will die first." The battle began with a fury that lit up space. Ships clashed, weapons fired, and the void filled with chaos. But the Allied force fought with a coordination that surprised everyone. Human fighters wove between Avari bioships, creating patterns that confused the enemy. Avari warriors boarded enemy vessels alongside human marines, covering each other's weaknesses. Jiho led a boarding team onto Krellix's flagship. His team was half human, half Avari, including Ilaneth despite his objections. They fought through corridors filled with rogue warriors. "For the Hive," an Avari warrior shouted. "For humanity." A human soldier answered, "For peace." Ilaneth's voice rang out, and somehow that became the battle cry everyone used. They found Krellix in his command center, surrounded by his most loyal warriors. The warlord was enormous, covered in scars and kill marks. He looked at Jiho with pure hatred. "A human leading Avari warriors," he spat. "This is why our species is doomed. You have forgotten what you are." "No," Jiho said calmly. "We've remembered what we could be." They fought. Krellix was powerful and experienced, but Jiho didn't fight alone. His team, human and Avari together, moved as one unit. When Krellix aimed at Jiho, an Avari warrior took the shot. When an Avari fell, a human soldier dragged them to safety. Ilaneth stood at the center of the chaos, broadcasting pheromones of peace and unity so strong that some of Krellix's own warriors hesitated. One by one, they lowered their weapons. "Stop fighting," she commanded. "Look at what we can be. Look at humans and Avari protecting each other. This is the future, not endless war." More rogue warriors stood down. Krellix found himself alone, his army abandoning him. He roared in fury and charged at Ilaneth, but Jiho was there blocking the attack. "It's over," Jiho said. "Surrender, never." Krellix lunged for the ship's self-destruct, trying to kill everyone aboard. But Hyun had been quietly hacking the ship's systems. The self-destruct failed. Krellix stood frozen, defeated. "I will never accept peace with humans," he said coldly. "Then you'll die alone," Queen Velshara said, appearing on a view screen. "While the rest of us live together." Krellix chose death, attacking until he was put down. There was no joy in it, only sadness for what he could have been. The battle ended. The Allied fleet had won, but at terrible cost. Hundreds of ships destroyed, thousands dead on both sides. But they had died fighting for peace, not for war. 3 weeks later, a ceremony was held on neutral ground. A massive platform constructed specifically for this moment, floating in space between human and Avari territories. Thousands attended in person, millions watched remotely. Queen Velshara and the human president, Yuna Park, stood together. Between them stood a simple monument made of both human and Avari materials, honoring those who had fallen. The queen spoke first. "For generations we have been enemies. We forgot that before we were enemies, we were simply beings trying to survive, to protect our families, to find meaning in existence. We lost so much to hatred. But one human soldier reminded me what compassion looks like," President Park continued. "Sergeant Jiho Kang did what governments could not. He saw a child in pain and chose kindness over duty. He risked everything for peace. He showed us that the war was never inevitable. It was a choice, and we can choose differently." They signed the Velmara Accords together, officially ending the war. But the most powerful moment came after. Ilaneth stepped forward, now dressed in formal royal robes, but still small and young. She approached Jiho, who stood in his dress uniform, medals on his chest, including the highest honor from both species. "Protector Jiho," she said, and everyone fell silent. "You brought me home when I was lost, but you gave me something greater. You gave me hope that different beings can be family." She held out a biocrystal glowing with stored memories. "These are my memories of our journey. So you will never forget what we shared." Jiho accepted it, his hands shaking. Thank you, little one. I have something else. She carefully removed a crystal pendant from around her neck, a piece of royal jewelry that had been in her family for generations. This is for you, so everyone knows you are my family. Ilaneth, I can't. You must. Her voice was firm. You are my brother now. Not by blood, but by choice. That is stronger. Jiho knelt down and she placed the pendant around his neck. Then he pulled out something from his pocket. It was Mira's pendant, the one that had survived everything. My sister would have liked you, he said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. I think she would want you to have this. To remember that family is what we make it. He placed it around her neck. They hugged, and Queen Velshara, the mighty ruler of the Avari collective, began to cry. Her tears were unlike human tears. They fell as small crystals that glowed with inner light, a rare sign of profound emotion in Avari culture. She approached Jiho and placed one massive hand on his shoulder. You saved my daughter, she said, her voice breaking. You saved my people. You saved us all from our own hatred. A crystal tear fell on Jiho's hand. I have no words for this gratitude. Jiho was crying too now, human tear.